And good afternoon. It's the 26th of May, 2022. And this is episode 100, the Centenary episode of Thursdays with Charlie. Thank you so much for being with us for 100 episodes. We'll talk more about that at the end of the show today. Couple of things to remind you of. After a 2-week break from being at the Riverside, because they had the Western Roundup there, we are going to go back to the Riverside for our masses this weekend. And so, this weekend, the mass schedule will be our normal one, 4 p.m. on Saturday at the Riverside in Don's Celebrity Theater, 6 p.m. on Saturday at the church. 8 a.m. on Sunday at the church, and 10 a.m. and 12 noon in Don's Celebrity Theater at the Riverside. As far as I can see, looking ahead in the schedule, we're not going to have any breaks from the Riverside until the fall, so we'll certainly make it through the summer with our regular mass schedule, and we look forward to that very, very much. There are still a few copies of Word and Song left. Once we sell out this batch at $5 each, we will not be buying any more until the new edition comes out beginning in December of 2022. So if you'd like the song book, which has the Sunday readings for the remainder of the year, we do have a few left, but once these sell out, we are not going to buy any additional copies this year until the new edition comes out beginning in December 2022. Speaking of things to buy, the gift shop is finally getting some of the items that we ordered last July and this past January into their stockpile. And so both at the church and at the Riverside, they're putting these new items out as fast as they do come in. So please, every time you're at our masses at the Riverside or you come to mass here at the church, please check out the gift shop tables and see what's new there. There will be some new items almost every week showing up. And we appreciate you taking advantage of being able to purchase them so easily right when you're coming to masses. This past Sunday, we celebrated our yard sale event, which, as you know, is connected with a friend of mine, Darren Radiff, who wrote the yard sale movie. And we're trying to raise some funds to produce the movie, and we figured, well, why not actually have a yard sale? And so we did the event this past Sunday, the 22nd of May in the afternoon, and we did it to raise money both for the movie and for our Garces Center. We're very pleased to report we had a wonderful time and we had a great turnout. I have to apologize for the way my voice sounds today. That's not the result of the yard sale. It's a result of my going to the Magic Convention the week before and spending 4 days, 5 days almost, in a casino in Las Vegas, not once setting foot outdoors. And so I've been breathing smoke-filled air for those 5 days, and it really took a toll on my voice. It's coming back a little bit and should be fine for this weekend. But at any rate, for our yard sale event this past Sunday, the 22nd of May, we had about 140 people come out. About 70 of them stayed for the live auction at the end. We really had a really good time. We haven't gotten the final figure yet, but it certainly looks like it will be in excess of $4,200, $4,300, $4,300. We'll know by the end of the week final total on there. We did have a lot of fun. The live auction had a lot of people. Like I said, about 70 people stayed, and they were bidding on a dinner for 6 made by Deacon Dan and served with his wife Pixie over at their house. That was a popular item. Darren had 4 tickets, a 4-pack of tickets to Universal Studios. That was a popular item. I had dinner at Mayone's Italian Kitchen, which I'll take 4 people out to. I don't cook, and you're better off that way. We had that, and that was a popular item. We also raffled off a Christmas party table, normally going for $250, and somebody got a deal on that. So we're very, very lucky we had a good time with the raffles. I think the most fun thing, besides the dancing and the music and just being together for the afternoon, we got to see some friends of ours from around the area. Father Henry came up from Needles, so we got to enjoy his company with us as well. But the tricky tray room seemed to be fun. There were 20 prizes in there. You could put tickets into little boxes to see who might win that particular prize. Out of the 20 prizes, the most popular item in the tricky tray room was a Ring doorbell, a doorbell that lets you respond from your phone to people at your front door. That got the most tickets placed in it. The other items got varying amounts of tickets. It was an absolute fun time, and we thank everybody who came. We thank everybody who showed up, not only for the event, but came before the event. Another popular item I have to show you, because I think these things are so cool, is a light-up ring, which I have to press a certain way. You can get an idea of just how bright that is, the laser light ring. We were selling these for, I can't turn it off now. I'll just push it aside. We were selling those for $1 a piece, and they went very, very successfully. I had a few left over, and I think what I'm going to do in October, I have to go back to New Jersey for the 100th anniversary of the parish that I was in before I came here. And I ran their 75th anniversary, and they're using my plan for 75 years to run their 100th anniversary. So they've invited me back. It'll be a weekend in October. I'll have a priest cover out here, and I'll go back to my parish in New Jersey for that one weekend. And I think I'll bring them some of these brightly blinking rings as a little sign of the glitz of Las Vegas and Laughlin. Darren told you a little bit more about the movie, those who were present for the yard sale. So you got a little glimpse into the storyline of the movie, and Darren was very happy. We had a great weekend together. Definitely worked very hard. I want you to take a look at a really brief thank you video from Darren for all the people who supported our yard sale event this weekend. So just take a look at it.
Hey everyone. Hi Charlie. Oh my gosh, I'm exhausted. Yes, I am laying on the vacuum in the middle of the floor because I'm exhausted. You guys wore me out yesterday. I want to thank you all for your very generous donations. Thank you so much for your interest in the movie and the interest in the Garza Center. All of that stuff. You have completely and totally exhausted me, and so here I am laying on the floor in the Garza Center. We are doing one last hurrah for the last Mass on Monday morning. Thank you, Charlie, so much for everything. I hope you all felt you got great prices. Thank you, Miranda and Tom, for so many great, generous donations. I love you all. Bye from the floor of the Garza Center.
Yesterday, May the 25th, 2022, I celebrated my 48th anniversary of ordination. 48 years as a priest. And I always like to look back on those years. Certainly, if you would have asked me at the beginning, how would it have developed, I don't know that I would have said I would end up out here in Nevada enjoying paradise. But I am, and I'm very grateful for that. I do keep track of the number of masses. And the number of masses I've celebrated as of my anniversary yesterday, that Mass was number 24,826. So 24,826 times I have celebrated Mass in the course of my priesthood. It's still the greatest privilege I have as a priest, and I try never to neglect it. In fact, looking back on the record, in all the days, all the years since my ordination on May 25th, 1974, I only missed celebrating Mass one day, and that was the day after my stroke in 2019. So I have no Mass on the 17th of July, 2019. But other than that, I have had Mass every day, at least once, since May 25th, 1974. And I intend to keep that tradition going for many, many more years. I looked back on those 48 years of priesthood, and I was really amazed at how many places I've been, how many people I've met, all the things that I've been enabled to do. It reminded me a little bit of something that I said last week at the Masses. I mentioned that Alex Ramon, who had a show here at Harrah's in Laughlin a couple of summers ago for about 6 weeks, a magician, he gave a workshop, and at the workshop he said, always remember to thank your audience. And I think that's transferable into religion. Always remember to thank your congregation. As the audience of a magician makes his life possible as a magician, the congregation makes the priest's life possible as a priest. And so I'm very grateful for all the people over these past 48 years that I've run into and met and had dealings with and been able to enjoy the company of. Particularly out here in Paradise for almost 15 years now, I've certainly enjoyed being here. Some people have asked, and I've kind of mentally put it in the back of my mind, the big event, 50 years as a priest, is coming up in 2024. And when it does come up, yes, I think we're going to have a party for 50 years. I just don't know when the date will be. Whether we should do something during the winter of that year so our snowbirds can be part of it, or do something on the actual date, May 25th, 2024. We'll see what happens. Definitely keep you apprised of that as we get closer, and hopefully I'll have a stronger voice. Trust me, I've had a wonderful time these 48 years as a priest, and I'm looking forward to many more. I'll tell you some stories about Ordination Day and all of the background to that over this weekend at the Masses. Be very happy to do that. This weekend is also Memorial Day weekend. On Monday, May 30th, we celebrate Memorial Day. It's a day to honor those who have died in the service of our great American nation. It's been combined for several years now into the last Monday of May rather than a specific date, May 30th. As it turns out this year, May 30th, the original date for Memorial Day, is the last Monday in May. So we're celebrating it both on its original date and on the date it currently holds in the calendar. Here in Laughlin, there's going to be a service at the Flag Plaza, which is that group of beautiful flags along the Colorado River, just north of the riverside, and that will be at 11 a.m. on Monday, Memorial Day. We, of course, will have Mass here at church at 8 a.m., and certainly it would be a nice occasion to gather for Mass to celebrate Memorial Day with us. We'll do some patriotic songs. We'll honor those who gave their lives in the service of our great American nation. As you know, there are 6 branches of the military in our United States. We honor those in the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Coast Guard, the Marine Corps, and since 2019, we remember those in the Space Force. All of those 6 services have had people serving our nation in them, And on Memorial Day, we honor all those who have served in those positions, who have given their lives in the service of our great country. So we look forward to that beautiful day. If you notice our bulletin this week, there will be several patriotic quotes, some mention of Memorial Day, some way of remembering it, remembering perhaps family members or friends who have served in our day. Memorial Day is a little different from Veterans Day. Veterans Day honors those who are still living, who have served in our country. A Memorial Day honors those who died in the service of our country. If you've been following the news, and most people have followed it in one form or another, you know that on May 20th, the past Friday, the Metropolitan Archbishop, the Archbishop of San Francisco, Salvatore Cordileone, banned the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, from receiving communion in his diocese. If she presents herself, first of all, she's not supposed to present herself for communion, but if she does present herself for communion, priests, deacons, Eucharistic ministers are restricted from giving her communion in the Archdiocese of San Francisco, her home diocese. The Archbishop did this as a corrective measure for the scandal that she's causing by her support for killing innocent lives in the act of abortion and promoting it. It's a scandal to say that you're a Catholic, a devout Catholic in good standing, and still support that particular sin, that particular evil. We're not in the Archdiocese of San Francisco. The rule doesn't exactly apply here, even though he is our Metropolitan Archbishop. But we are going to commemorate that. Plus, I think, make it a rule in our area that we will, in the prayer of the faithful, frequently over the next several months, remember those who are facing this issue. And we're going to do it with a wording that I think works very well. That all of our current and future elected officials, especially those who claim to be Catholic, may protect and defend human life from the moment of conception. That's a beautiful prayer in our prayer of the faithful, and we will pray it certainly in support of electing those who support our Catholic values, and they're actually American values if you think about it. The right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is enshrined in our founding documents. As I mentioned at the very, very beginning, this is our 100th episode of Thursdays with Charlie. We began doing this show on May the 7th, 2020. You might remember back then the churches were closed, very many activities were closed. The casinos in Las Vegas and Laughlin were closed. The fear of the pandemic was spreading over our nation. We have done 100 times this particular show, Thursdays with Charlie. That means if you were to go online to our YouTube channel, our Facebook page, and look at the shows, you can find 100 approximate half-hour episodes of Thursdays with Charlie. It's kind of enjoyable to look back. If you add up the hours, that's about 50 hours of me talking. Maybe that's why my voice is going when you think of that. I decided to have a little fun and look back over the first episode, May 7th, 2020, when I was trying to begin this show. And I sat here and said, well, we've made a couple of decisions. One, we're going to have an original theme song. You remember I told you I found a guy through a website called Fiverr, and the guy is in Malaysia, and he wrote the theme song that you hear at the beginning of every one of these shows. That song will always remain in my mind as a memory of this. And then I mentioned some influences about what I hope to do in the course of this show. And I said my first influence was a bishop I used to watch on TV, and I think many of you watched him as well. Archbishop Fulton J. Sheen, who had a Tuesday night show, Life is Worth Living. I loved the title of that show. I loved watching the Archbishop eventually, preach and give God Christ's message. He was really the first Catholic televangelist there ever was, and nobody, it seems, has ever come close to replacing him for the message and the way in which he delivered it. So Archbishop Fulton J. Sheen was probably my primary influence. I don't think that I'm anywhere near the speaker he was, but I think the idea behind both of us was pretty much the same. The next influence might seem a little odd, but I mentioned it in the first show, and that was Johnny Carson and the little act he did with the turban on his head as Karnak. And he would take an envelope and press it to his head, and he would read what was inside, the little mentalism act. I think there's a great entertainment value in that, and Johnny Carson as Karnak certainly captured my imagination growing up. Then there's a comedian in Las Vegas, Carrot Top. Perhaps you've seen him. He does something called prop comedy, where he'll walk around the stage and he'll find an item, perhaps lying on the stage or in a container, and he'll pull it out and he'll start joking about that item. I can't tell you how many times I've pulled out items and said, look at this, and we've talked about the item along the way. Just with that in mind, it's mentioned my anniversary, and I do have an item to pull out. It's sitting on my desk. This is a plaque that was made up. It's decoupage of my ordination invitation. It kind of reminds me of that day I was ordained, and you can look at the little picture down at the bottom. That's what I looked like, almost 50 years younger. I don't think I'll ever have hair that dark or glasses that dark again. At any rate, back to the influences. A comedian in Las Vegas who's also a great magician, Mike Hammer. I love watching his show, love being present with him. He's a great friend. He actually came down and did a show for my 40th anniversary as a priest right here in Laughlin. I always try to imitate Mike and his ability to remember things, remember names, remember what happened. Certainly a good guy for that. Of course, I've been compared to another speaker by several of you, and I like the comparison, and that's Andy Rooney. Andy Rooney from CBS, I believe, was on, and I would always enjoy his storytelling. He would tell these amazing stories, and they always had a point, and he always got his message across. But he always did it in a very calm and just storytelling. You wanted to listen to everything he said. I've always thought that's a great quality for a preacher. And the last influence that inspired me for creating the show Thursdays with Charlie was Garrison Keillor, who had a radio show, The Prairie Home Companion, which he talked about life in the mythical town of Lake Wobegon. And stories he would tell there always had a message, always had a point, always had a moral. There was always a reason for telling them. I hope you've been able to share a lot of those stories with you. I hope you've enjoyed watching these 100 episodes. If you have time, take a look back at our Facebook page or our YouTube and take a look at some of the older episodes. We went for a patriotic theme, red, white, and blue, and we've kept that up pretty much throughout the show. I hope that you'll enjoy remembering this. Now, I'm not saying goodbye as a Thursdays with Charlie completely. I am going to take a little break. I have to have a tooth pulled next week, so I'm visiting an oral surgeon. Don't think I'll be speaking much next week on the weekdays because of that. It's actually a couple of teeth. But I'm going to work on that. But I think we need to rethink a little bit where we want to go with the show. So we've done 100 episodes of Thursdays with Charlie. I think we'll start, give us a month or two, maybe the summer, but definitely by Labor Day, maybe sooner, we'll be back with something else. Might be an extension of Thursdays with Charlie, might be something completely different, but for next coming Thursdays, you can watch reruns. Think of it as the summer of reruns. And we have done every show, we have ended with a Latin phrase. Every one of the 100 shows. And so I thought for our 100th show, we would go back to something from the very beginning with a little touch. Pascal will come down one more time, as he did at the beginning. And our very first Latin phrase was ad Astra per Aspera, to the stars through struggle, through perseverance. And all we're going to add to it is Nunc et Semper, now and always, to the stars, through our struggles, now and always. Signing off for episode 100 of Thursdays with Charlie. God bless you, God love you, and remember, life is worth living.
And that's all, folks.